The air hung heavy with the scent of marigolds and grief. It was Sunday, February 16th, 2025. The day before, a scene of unimaginable horror had unfolded at the New Delhi railway station, leaving behind a trail of devastation and despair. 18 souls on their way to celebrate faith and family were tragically crushed to death in a chaotic stampede. The heart of the nation's capital was shrouded in mourning. Families huddled together at the station, their faces etched with pain and disbelief. The air buzzed with the murmur of prayers and sobs. The platform, usually bustling with life and anticipation, stood eerily silent, a stark reminder of the fragility of human life. The city mourned, united in grief and grappling with the enormity of the tragedy. The station was a cauldron of humanity, overflowing with passengers embarking on journeys for the Kumbh Mela, a major religious pilgrimage. The platform throbbed with an undercurrent of tension, a premonition of the disaster that was about to unfold. 2 trains, already delayed, stood at the platform, their packed compartments overflowing with passengers. Suddenly, an announcement boomed through the station, signaling the departure of a 3rd train, also bound for the Kumbh Mela in Prayagraj. The already agitated crowd surged forward, desperate to board the train. Panic erupted as people shoved and pushed, their individual anxieties merging into a collective frenzy. The crush started subtly, an almost imperceptible shift in the crowd's momentum. It began on the narrow overbridge connecting the platforms, where passengers were squeezed shoulder to shoulder, their bags and belongings adding to the congestion. A passenger, his foot snagged on a piece of luggage, stumbled and fell. The domino effect was instantaneous and catastrophic. The crowd, unable to stop or even see what was happening, continued to push forward, trampling over those who had fallen. The stories of the victims and their families are heart-wrenching testaments to the tragedy. Bipin Jha, his eyes red-rimmed and filled with unshed tears, recounted how he lost his wife, Mamta, in the crush. She had been standing on the footbridge, excited to visit their ancestral village after years. Seema, her voice choked with sobs, described the moment she lost sight of her sister-in-law, Pinky Devi, in the chaos. Pinky, a young mother of 2, had been separated from her family in the crush on the staircase. Their stories, fragments of shattered lives, echoed the collective grief that had enveloped the city. Section 5. Overcrowded and overwhelmed. As ambulances rushed the injured to Loknayak Jai Prakash Hospital, the city's largest government hospital, a different kind of chaos unfolded. The hospital, already grappling with limited resources, was overwhelmed by the sudden influx of patients. Families of the victims described scenes of utter pandemonium. The corridors were overflowing with patients, many lying on stretchers on the floor. The air was thick with the smell of antiseptic and the sound of moans and cries. The hospital, like the station, stood as a symbol of a system stretched to its breaking point. Section 6. A familiar tragedy. The New Delhi railway station disaster is a grim reminder of a recurring tragedy in India, the deadly consequences of overcrowding. With a population exceeding 1.4 billion, India has long struggled with managing crowds, especially during religious festivals and pilgrimages. The Kumbh Mela, a mass Hindu pilgrimage, attracts tens of millions of devotees, putting immense strain on infrastructure and crowd control measures. The recent tragedy at the station, occurring just weeks before the Kumbh Mela, has once again exposed the vulnerabilities of the system. Section 7. The price of faith. For many Indians, faith is an integral part of life, and pilgrimages like the Kumbh Mela are a deeply personal and spiritual journey. However, the New Delhi railway station disaster has raised uncomfortable questions about the price of faith in a country grappling with inadequate infrastructure and safety measures. The tragedy has sparked a debate about the government's responsibility in ensuring the safety of its citizens, especially during large-scale religious events. The incident has highlighted the urgent need for better crowd management strategies, improved infrastructure, and increased awareness about the dangers of overcrowding. Section 8. Silence from the authorities. In the wake of the tragedy, the response from the authorities has been met with anger and frustration. Railway officials and police at the station have remained tight-lipped, offering no explanations or apologies. The hospital authorities too have maintained a stoic silence, refusing to comment on the situation. The lack of accountability has fueled public outrage, with many accusing the authorities of negligence and apathy. The silence, deafening in its implications, speaks volumes about the lack of transparency and accountability that continues to plague the system. Section 9. A plea for change. The New Delhi railway station tragedy is not just a statistic, it is a human tragedy of immense proportions. It is a stark reminder of the urgent need for better safety measures, effective crowd management, and a renewed focus on human life. As the city mourns its dead, there is a collective plea for change, a demand for accountability, and a fervent hope that such a tragedy will never again darken the doorsteps of the nation's capital.